In military history, unsuccessful tanks are often forgotten. They lost battles, broke down at the worst moments, and suffered from design flaws. But from the perspective of modeling and technical history, these machines are incredibly interesting. Their failures are part of tank evolution, and their rarity makes them especially valuable to collectors. Today, we'll take a look at 5 of the worst tanks of World War II, failures on the battlefield, but potentially fascinating finds for history and modeling enthusiasts. Before we begin, I'd like to ask you to subscribe to the channel. It's just one click for you, but a huge support for the project. If you have the desire and opportunity, you can also support the channel through sponsorship. This helps create more great content. Thank you all for your support. And now, let's get started. The T-26 was one of the most mass-produced Soviet tanks of the interwar period. It was developed in the late 1920s, based on the British Vickers Mark E, and entered service with the Red Army in the early 1930s. For its time, it was a decent tank, light, maneuverable, and reasonably well-armed. Its primary role was infantry support, and it performed fairly well in conflicts of the 1930s, such as the Spanish Civil War and the Soviet-Finnish War. However, with the start of World War II, the T-26 quickly became obsolete. Its thin armor, only 15 millimeters on early models and up to 20 to 25 millimeters on later versions, could barely withstand heavy machine gun fire, let alone anti-tank guns. By 1941, German 37 millimeter PaK-36 guns could easily penetrate it from any distance. Additionally, its engine was unreliable, and its weak suspension made it ineffective on rough terrain. In battles against the Wehrmacht, the T-26 became an easy target. Many were lost not in combat, but due to mechanical failures and fuel shortages. The Red Army, after suffering huge losses with these tanks, quickly realized that their combat effectiveness in modern warfare was extremely limited. By 1942, the T-26 was being phased out, with surviving units used mainly for training or secondary roles. Why does the T-26 take 5th place in the ranking of the worst tanks of World War II? Because by the time the war started, it was already outdated and unsuitable for combat. However, it played an important role in Soviet tank development, and its mass production in the 1930s helped the USSR prepare its industry for building more advanced armored vehicles. In scale modeling, the T-26 is well represented, which is not surprising given that it was one of the most mass-produced pre-war tanks. The first brand that comes to mind is, of course, Zvezda. They offer T-26 kits in 1/35th and 100th scales. The 1/35th scale versions include both early and late variants, allowing modelers to recreate different historical periods. Another great option is Hobby Boss, which also produces T-26 models in 1/35th scale, including 2 versions, one of which is the Spanish Civil War variant. This is particularly interesting for those fascinated by that conflict. For those who prefer 1/72nd scale, Uni models provide solid kits with good detailing and options to build different modifications. Overall, the variety of T-26 model kits ensures that everyone can find a suitable option, from beginner-friendly sets to highly detailed kits for experienced modelers. The Panzer I was Germany's first mass-produced tank, developed in the early 1930s. At that time, the Treaty of Versailles prohibited Germany from having armored forces, so the project was carried out in secrecy. The primary goal was to create a light tank for training crews and developing armored warfare tactics. Production of the Panzer I began in 1934. The tank was very light, weighing only 5.4 tons, with armor no thicker than 13 millimeters, providing protection only against small arms and shrapnel. Its armament consisted of 2 7.92 millimeter MG-13 machine guns, making it completely ineffective against enemy armored vehicles. Despite being designed as a training vehicle, The Panzer I saw extensive combat in the Spanish Civil War, 1936 to 1939, where it encountered Soviet T-26 tanks. The T-26 was equipped with a 45mm cannon, against which the Panzer I was completely helpless. When World War II began, the Panzer I was used in the Polish 1939 and French 1940 campaigns. But by that time, it was already obsolete. In Poland, it could still operate effectively against weak anti-tank defenses, but in France, it was highly vulnerable to French and British tanks. By 1941, the Panzer I had largely disappeared from frontline service. The remaining units were used for auxiliary and support roles. Why does the Panzer I rank fourth among the worst tanks of World War II? Weak armament. Its machine guns couldn't penetrate most tanks of the era. Thin armor, even light anti-tank weapons, could easily destroy it. Obsolete design. It was originally intended as a training tank, but was forced into combat due to Germany's shortage of armored vehicles. The only real success of the Panzer I was in training tank crews and refining Germany's armored warfare tactics, which contributed to the later development of more advanced tanks, like the Panzer III and IV. In scale modeling, the Panzer I is well represented, especially in the 1/35th scale, where multiple manufacturers offer different versions of the tank. Tamiya provides a classic 1/35th scale Panzer I kit, suitable for both beginners and experienced modelers. Academy also produces its own 1/35th scale version, known for a good balance between quality and affordability. For those interested in more specialized variants, Ammo by MiG offers the Spanish Civil War version, which is a great option for modelers fascinated by that historical period. Other 1/35th scale Panzer I kits are available from Tacom, which is known for highly detailed model kits. Additionally, Italeri and Dragon both produce their own versions, making this tank widely available in various styles and levels of detail. Many other manufacturers also offer 1/35th scale kits, so there is plenty of choice. In 1/72nd scale, Italeri produces a Panzer I model, making it a great option for those who prefer smaller models that take up less space. For those who love large-scale builds, there's even an exotic option, a 1/16th scale Panzer I from Tacom. This is perfect for anyone looking for a highly detailed and impressive model. Overall, the variety of Panzer I kits across different scales ensures that every modeler can find the perfect version, whether they are beginners looking for a simple build or experienced collectors seeking a challenging project. History of the M3 and why it ranks third among the worst tanks of World War II. The American M3 medium tank, known as the General Lee or General Grant, depending on the variant, was one of the most controversial armored vehicles of World War II. Despite seemingly strong specifications on paper, it proved highly impractical in real combat, especially on the Eastern Front. The M3 could reach speeds of 40 kilometers per hour, 25 miles per hour, weighed 27.2 tons, and had a range of 230 kilometers, 143 miles. Its armament looked impressive: a 75mm main gun, a 37mm turret-mounted gun, and 4 7.62mm machine guns. However, its biggest flaw was its gun placement. The 1,400 M3 tanks, receiving gold as payment. However, Soviet crews were unimpressed, as the M3 was poorly suited for the fast-moving battles of the Eastern Front and was significantly inferior to German Panzer III and IV tanks. Why does the M3 rank third among the worst tanks of World War II? Flawed design. The hull-mounted main gun made it difficult to engage enemies effectively. Tall profile made it an easy target for enemy gunners. Overcrowded crew, 7 men in a cramped space, led to communication and operational difficulties. Poor combat maneuverability. The entire tank had to rotate to aim its main gun. While the M3 was a stepping stone in U.S. tank development, its design flaws made it highly vulnerable in combat. It was quickly replaced by the much more successful M4 Sherman, which corrected many of its predecessor's weaknesses. In the world of scale modeling, the M3 Lee is well represented, especially in 1/35 scale, with multiple options from various manufacturers. MiniArt offers highly detailed interior versions, making it a great choice for experienced modelers looking to showcase the tank's internal structure. Tacom, Academy, and Tamiya also produce 1/35 scale M3 Lee kits, providing both standard and advanced versions with excellent detail. For those interested in less common scales, Airfix offers an M3 Lee in 1/76 scale, which is a bit unusual, but may appeal to collectors or those who build in this specific size range. For miniature model enthusiasts, Zvezda produces an M3 Lee in 1/100 scale, ideal for tabletop gaming or quick assembly projects. With so many options available, modelers of all skill levels can find an M3 Lee kit that suits their needs and preferences. The Neubaufahrzeug, meaning new construction vehicle in German, was one of the first German multi-turreted tanks, developed in the late 1930s. It was designed as a heavy combat vehicle for supporting troops, but due to its complex design, weak armor, and outdated concept, it became one of Germany's least successful tanks. The Neubaufahrzeug project was Germany's attempt to create a multi-turreted tank, similar to the Soviet T-35 and British Vickers A-1, E-1, Independent. Only 5 prototypes were built, and during testing, it became clear that the tank was too bulky, vulnerable, and unreliable. Major drawbacks of the Neubaufahrzeug: weak armor, only 20 to 30 millimeters, making it an easy target even for anti-tank rifles. Multi-turreted design, complex turret management, and poor combat efficiency. Poor mobility, an underpowered engine and complex suspension led to low speed and frequent breakdowns. In combat, the Neubaufahrzeug was used only during the Norwegian campaign in 1940, where it played no significant role. Some units were destroyed, and the rest were sent back to Germany, never to see battle again. Why does the Neubaufahrzeug rank second among the worst tanks of World War II? An outdated concept from the start, multi-turreted tanks were already obsolete by the start of the war. Weak protection, 20 to 30 millimeter armor, was ineffective against even light anti-tank weapons. Limited production and combat irrelevance. Only 5 prototypes were built, and they failed to prove their worth. Poor mobility, frequent mechanical failures, and slow speed made it impractical in combat. The Neubaufahrzeug was a dead end in German tank development. It demonstrated that multi-turreted designs were inefficient, leading Germany to focus on more practical and effective tanks like the Panzer III and IV. In scale modeling, the Neubaufahrzeug is not widely available, but modelers still have a few options. In 1/35 scale, this rare tank is produced by 3 companies. Trumpeter offers a well-detailed kit consistent with the brand's quality standards. Arma Model provides an accurate and high-quality casting of the Neubaufahrzeug. Dragon, known for its complex but highly detailed kits, making it a great choice for experienced modelers. Since the Neubaufahrzeug was produced in very limited numbers, its model kits are also relatively rare. However, for collectors and fans of unusual armored vehicles, this tank remains a unique addition to any collection. The FCM-2C was a French super heavy tank designed during World War I, but never saw combat in that conflict. It was intended as a breakthrough vehicle, capable of overcoming enemy fortifications. However, by the time World War II began, it was already completely obsolete and unsuitable for modern warfare. This armored behemoth weighed 70 tons and had a massive crew of 12 men. Its top speed was just 12 kilometers per hour, 7.5 miles per hour, making it an easy target even for artillery. The main armament consisted of a 75 mm cannon, supported by one 8 mm machine gun on each side, a ridiculously weak loadout for a tank of this size. Despite its intimidating appearance, the armor of the FCM-2C was inadequate, 45 mm at the front and only 20 mm on the sides, meaning it was vulnerable even to medium tanks and anti-tank weapons of the era. The FCM-2C never made it to the battlefield. In May 1940, during the German invasion of France, all 6 tanks were destroyed by Luftwaffe airstrikes while still on railway transport before they could even reach the front. Why does the FCM-2C rank third among the worst tanks of World War II? Extremely low mobility. At 12 kilometers per hour, it was far too slow for maneuver warfare. Weak armament, a 75 mm cannon and a few machine guns were inadequate for its intended role. Insufficient armor. It could be easily penetrated by even medium tanks and anti-tank guns. Zero combat effectiveness. The tank never fought and was destroyed before firing a single shot. While the FCM-2C may look impressive, its battlefield effectiveness was practically non-existent. It remains a historical example of how sheer size and intimidation factor don't necessarily translate into real combat power. In scale modeling, the FCM-2C is not widely available, which is understandable given the rarity of the actual tank. In 1/35th scale, it is produced by Meng, offering a highly detailed and well-crafted kit. This is the only major manufacturer providing this tank in this scale. In 1/72nd scale, a version is available from the lesser-known brand 5M Hobby, which may appeal to collectors of rare models or fans of smaller scales. Due to the tank's low popularity, model kit options are limited. But for those interested in French armor and unique vehicles, the FCM-2C remains an intriguing choice for a build. So, that's my list of the worst tanks of World War II. Of course, opinions may differ, and everyone has their own perspective on this topic. So, be sure to leave a comment. Do you agree with my list, or do you think other tanks deserve a spot? Maybe your suggestion will make it into the next part. And for those ready to post angry comments, hold on. This is only the first part, and there's more to come with additional failed tanks. So subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next episode. And if you'd like to support the project, it would really help in creating more great content. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.